Hey everyone, it's Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B, coming at you from the Market Scale Home Studio. I'm joined today on the line by Tim Begoske. He's Midwest Regional Manager at Field Controls. Tim is joining us on the line to briefly chat about whole house UVC air purifiers and their potential effectiveness against viruses. It's something that's been on the mind of facility and building managers across the nation as we continue to deal with a pandemic and more states and businesses reopen. People are flowing into retail establishments, their office spaces, and of course, air quality is of top concern. So we're going to be chatting about one solution to maintaining that air quality at high level. Tim Begoske, great to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Daniel. I hope you are.
Yes, thank you very much. How have you been holding up during this pandemic?
Extremely busy with
Yes.
the current pandemic all around us.
I would assume so. So let's go ahead and get into what is keeping you busy. Again, we're talking whole house UVC air purifiers and potential effectiveness against viruses. So with the current public health issues surrounding the pandemic, there's more we can do to protect from viruses as well as bacteria, mold, and other airborne germs. So Tim's here to make the case for ultraviolet or UVC air purification systems as part of the solution for neutralizing viruses. Tim, could you give us just a brief overview as to why UVC is a solution you would advocate for to treat these viruses?
Well, number one, it's been utilized in hospitals for disinfection of medical equipment and the surrounding areas since 1920. However, antibiotics became available, so they got away from it. However, as we have viruses and bacteria that are more resistant to antibiotics, germicidal lamps are extremely effective at knocking down these items. It was quite popular in 1937. It actually was discovered in 1801 and won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1903 for the inoculation of tuberculosis. Germicidal lamps placed above the air conditioning coil and in one's HVAC duct system will drive energy into those organisms, lancing through the cell wall, if it's a bacteria, or through barriers of protein, if it happens to be a virus. When we do that, what takes place is that you actually prevent it from reproducing. You create lesions on the nuclei or on the RNA, which in turn does not allow it to reproduce. These are easily installed by a mechanical or an HVAC contractor, and it is a big boost to your filter. Filtration is not capable of trapping the particular virus we're dealing with today. You're talking something that is 10,000ths of 1 inch. So it can go through our best residential filters. In the event that dog dander, pet dander, airborne mold, over the things that pass through it, we can use UVC germicidal lamps to eradicate them and make our home a much safer place.
So if the filters that are already existing in HVAC systems aren't really capable of trapping viruses, do you think that this inclusion of a germicidal lamp and UVC technology should become a mainstay regardless of if there's a pandemic in the United States? Is there a value in having something to prevent viruses spreading at all times? You know, I guess what is the impetus for wanting to bring that in, even if there's not a pandemic raging across the world?
Well, we're exposed to bacteria and viruses, whether it be the flu or colds and other things. So implementing this into your HVAC system allows you to have some additional protection within your home or within your castle. Very effective in knocking down these microorganisms, especially if you have children with special needs. So there's a secondary benefit. There's no telling what children and others can bring back home into the home from being out there, let's say, whether you're in school or even from the workplace. So it gives additional protection for the entire family unit.
So you've been mentioning this in context of the home, the family. Does this technology have benefits in B2B applications as well? Taking a germicidal lamp or UVC tech and applying it to a commercial HVAC system for an entire facility or an office space or a school even, let's say?
Excellent question, Daniel. Absolutely. By continuing to drive the air across germicidal lamps, you're able to lance that protein barrier or that cell wall, which in turn then will reduce them not only in the home, but also in commercial applications or bed and breakfast. Anywhere where you would have a air distribution system, field controls products can be implemented.
When considering installing UVC technology and something like a germicidal lamp into your HVAC system, what are some of the technical considerations that go into that process, both at the commercial and the residential level? Both the initial just installation and then also making sure that it's an accessible piece of technology for future updates or maintenance.
Excellent question, Daniel. Field Controls recommends that you actually update your filter system uh, approximately to MERV 13 or a little less, depending on what your system can actually tolerate. And then implementing UVC germicidal technology above the evaporator so that you sterilize it and prevent the growth of biofilm and that being blown into the home. At the same time, there's a reflectivity process that takes place as it strikes the aluminum evaporator. You have some that bounce off. When I say bounce off, I mean the UVC light actually bounces off, so you get indirect light, which creates a more intense zone in the evaporator area as the air passes by, driving more radiation into the bacteria and viruses that are affecting the individuals within the space. And that doesn't matter if it is residential or commercial. Field Controls has several germicidal lamps, and we also have what's known as duo and trio technology that reduce chemicals in the air at the same time. Uh, Not only do we have viruses or microorganisms in the space and particulate, but because our homes are getting tighter, quite often there's high levels of chemicals also in the space that need to be reduced so that we have a healthier environment for the occupants.
So, are UVC products completely safe? I mean, I'm sure the answer is yes to some degree, but I guess maybe to refine that question, are there any safety concerns at all with installing a UVC product or a germicidal lamp? What do those look like, and how should facility managers and building managers maneuver the added layers of maintenance needed or safety precautions needed to make sure everything operates smoothly?
Excellent question. Yes, germicidal lamps, UVC germicidal lamps are safe. They must be installed inside of the HVAC system's ductwork so that we keep that radiation within the duct system and do not directly expose the occupants. As mentioned before, these have been around since 1920. Very effective at reducing microorganisms and extremely safe when kept inside of the HVAC duct system. Every time the microorganism will pass through that treatment zone, it will get a dose of UVC energy driving it through the protein barrier or the cell wall, uh, sterilizing these particular microorganisms so that they cannot reproduce.
Tim, just for some context, if we compare what Field Controls is bringing to the market with their UVC products versus other germicidal lamps in the field, what are the differences? What makes Field Controls' products unique? Or what about your service do you offer that is different than the rest of the market?
Excellent question, Daniel. Thank you.
Mhm.
Field Controls products create no ozone. Many producers of germicidal lamps today include ozone within their product offering. In turn, ASHRAE recommends that that be kept to extremely low levels and not actually placed in the occupied space. Ozone is an oxidant that attacks organic matter, and our lungs are extremely sensitive organic matter. The elderly and the children actually have more sensitive lungs than the ones of us in the middle. So Field Controls products generate no ozone. We also do not place hydrogen peroxide or peroxyls into the space because those are also oxidizers, which in turn attack organic matter. If you're going to utilize ozone or hydrogen peroxide in the occupied space, our recommendation is that don't put it in the occupied space. It actually should be placed in the space when it is unoccupied and then totally ventilated before the occupants are allowed to re-enter to make sure that they are safe. You'll see that ASHRAE, the American Society for Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, recommends the same. The CDC recommends the utilization of UVC germicidal lamps. They say nothing about ozone. They're using UVC energy to sterilize the subway systems in New York. So it's currently being used in the hospitals. It's very effective in knocking down microorganisms, and it's extremely safe when installed by a licensed HVAC contractor or a mechanical contractor that is familiar with the installation process.
What would you say are some of the structural limitations to getting this technology installed at scale for, practically any HVAC system across the United States? Would you say it's a lack of education on the technology? Is the price higher end, so it's not as accessible for every strata of business? What are your thoughts?
The larger the system, the more lamps you're going to need. If you have a big system, you're going to have more lamps to cover the area. They can be properly installed and sized accordingly, depending on what the owner occupant wishes to accomplish. If you only want to knock them down a little at a time, it'll be less money. If you want to try to kill them on a single pass, of course, there will be a larger investment. However, the technology, whether is time and intensity, so you have to have a lot of power to kill it on a single pass, or you have less power and it takes multiple passes to knock it down. It depends on what the individual's budget may be, or the owner occupant budget that he has available, to determine on how quickly he may wish to alleviate the issue.
All right, Tim, thank you so much for your thoughts today on the program. Just finally, if people want to learn more about Field Controls' UVC products and germicidal lamps, where can they go to learn more about the basics as well as potentially reach out for an installation?
Fieldcontrols.com will be the website. There are numerous videos there and product information that people have utilized this technology and have been extremely happy with the results. Also, 252-522-3031 is the direct phone line to the factory. We're available to help them properly size product and help them not only with germicidal, but filtration and ventilation. The other two components go in parallel with the germicidal lamps. You need to ventilate the building so you have proper air, not too much carbon dioxide in the space. You need to control your particles. You need to go after microorganisms. We call it the healthy home system when we deal with germs, gases, and particulate. And then you have to have a methodology to control it so that you can deliver it all year long for the occupants.
Thanks again, Tim. Again, we've been chatting with Tim Begoske. He's Midwest Regional Manager at Field Controls. Tim, we appreciate your time, and we'll be chatting again soon.
Thank you, Daniel, and you have a wonderful day. Be safe out there.